What's going on, guys? This is a race that I wasn't originally planning on uploading, but as you'll see, what happens in the end of this race is pretty crazy, so I thought I had to share it. So, bit of background on the start of this race. I started in P6, qualified 6th, and then managed to make my way up to 4th by the time of the pit stop that you just saw, with Raikkonen ahead of me in 3rd, and then it was Hamilton 2nd and Vettel was leading. But you just seen I managed to overtake Raikkonen in the pits, so I'm effectively up to P3 now, although I'm in 13th on the track, and I've got Sergio Perez right behind me, who has come out in the middle of this battle, and he's going to try and overtake me because I'm on cold tyres, but I've got it on the inside, and we actually collided there, but it didn't work out too badly for me. I've managed to keep the position. So I've got my teammate Valtteri Bottas ahead of me just down the road, but he's not effectively ahead of me in the race. He is yet to make a stop. So now I cut to the start of lap 8, and you can probably see, if you look at P10, it keeps changing between Perez and Raikkonen, so they're obviously having quite a big battle for that position. But Raikkonen gets ahead of Perez there into turn 3, so now there's no one in between myself as Felipe Massa and Kimi Raikkonen in 4th place. And now this is lap 10, and as you can see, I've caught up to the back of Valtteri Bottas. He is on quite worn prime tyres now, so he'll be looking to pit, hopefully at the end of this lap, so he doesn't hold me up too much. He already has held me up slightly, and Raikkonen's caught up to the back of myself as well. Bottas does pit, so we're going to have DRS coming down this straight, but Raikkonen rather is going to have DRS on myself as well, and he's got slipstream, so he's going to have a look up the inside coming into turn 1 on lap 11, and I brake, but I missed my braking point slightly and run wide, and Raikkonen manages to get ahead of me, so that was slightly sloppy driving from me there, but Raikkonen has DRS, I've got DRS, so there's no advantage for me from that perspective. Raikkonen's got the position, he's in P3, I've moved out of the podium places, which is a bit of a shame. And you can see Raikkonen is just pulling away from me so quickly. So it looks from here, with 5 laps to go, less than 5 laps to go now, it looks as though I'm going to have to just try to compensate my 4th, manage the gap to Nico Hulkenberg behind me. But now there's yellow flags here in sector 2. Not sure what that's about. Now there's green flags, so it seems to have been cleared. Although there's yellow flags flashing up there on the screen. And it's Sebastian Vettel, who was the race leader. He has got a problem, so now we're up into 3rd, and Raikkonen's slowing down, and that looks like Hamilton, and Raikkonen's gone into the back of Hamilton, and we've taken the lead of this Grand Prix now. So Raikkonen got caught behind Lewis Hamilton, appeared to hit him up the back, and now we've moved into the lead. What a crazy change of positions in this lap, lap 11, and look at the lead we've got now. Because Raikkonen, I guess his front wing is damaged. Hamilton clearly had damage as well, so I guess they'll both be pitting, but they're just holding everyone up. You can see on the mini-map, driving so slowly back to the pits. So this is lap 12, 4 laps remaining, and all of a sudden we've got a real chance of winning this race. Nico Rosberg has just moved up into 2nd place. It was Hulkenberg, it's now Rosberg in 2nd. 8.3 seconds is the gap. With 4 laps to go, I'm not sure what tyres Rosberg is on though. If he's on options, he's bound to be a bit quicker than us. We're on primes, and I can already sense that they're starting to go off even now, even though we've just put in a green first sector, so that's our fastest sector. But all the same, these tyres are starting to feel like they're not at the end of their life just yet, but they're getting towards that point. So the gap is 8 seconds to Rosberg with 4 laps to go, so we cut to the end of lap 12 now. Coming on to the start of lap 13, and we'll see what the gap is. I've done a 1:30.1 as we come over the line. Going into turn 1 now, and look at that. Nico Rosberg, 1:27.0. The gap is 5.1 seconds. He's closed down on us by more than 3 seconds on that lap. And at that rate of him catching me, he's going to have caught me before the start of the last lap. So my tyres really are starting to go now as well. Really, you can really sense when you're playing this game the sudden loss of grip that you have when the tyres start to go away from you. 4.6 seconds after the first sector. Another half second. The engineer just explaining to me that I've got some spare fuel, and I put it up into Rich there, as you saw, to try and defend from Rosberg, because he's surely going to be able to attack us in the last lap of this race. 4.3 seconds now the gap, so he's not actually closed down that much so far on this particular lap. This is the final sector of lap 13, really struggling with understeer. These tyres really starting to go away, and it affects the turn-in. Look at that, so wide, running onto the grass on the penultimate corner. It affects your grip as you go into the corner, and also your traction as you come out of it. It really does make it a struggle for these last two laps. So 1:29.8 for me on lap 13, 2.6 seconds the gap, so another 3 seconds just down the drain, and Rosberg's going to catch me before the end of this lap even. And I'm locking up the tyres, they're just screaming at me. So much understeer. And you can see how close he is now on the mini-map. As we cut to the end of lap 14, he's right up behind me. That's less than a second, so he's going to have DRS on this straight. I do a 1:29.6, and that gap is half a second, and I run wide. That's going to compromise my exit speed. Rosberg's right up behind me with DRS now on this last lap. I've got enough fuel, I can have it in Rich to defend. Rosberg doesn't make a move at turn 3, but you see me running wide, and he's alongside in turn 4, but I park it on the apex and manage to hold on to P1 as we come towards the end of the first sector on this last lap. And I go wide again. You can just see the lack of grip I have now. Really struggling. As we come into the middle of this second sector, I lock a brake and run wide again. Rosberg is right behind me. He surely is going to be able to pull out of the slipstream and come alongside me on this straight before the left-right chicane. He looks to make a small move to the outside, but I managed to stay ahead. Minor corner cut there, but Rosberg is still right behind me and trying to get alongside. He can't manage it there, and that was actually quite a good chance for him. I once again struggled to make it to the apex, but we've only got 3 corners left. Rosberg still on my tail. He's going to have DRS down the straight. That could be crucial. I need to get a good exit out of this last corner, and I have managed to get a reasonable one, but he's still right there. DRS, and he's going to pull alongside as we come up to the finish line, and I have just about held on to win the race. What a crazy last few laps that was, to be in 4th place when Raikkonen overtook me, and then all of a sudden yellow flags, collisions with Vettel, Hamilton and Raikkonen, effectively putting them all out of the race and giving us an 8-second lead over Rosberg with 4 laps to go, and that still nearly wasn't enough. So Rosberg second, Daniel Kvyat in 3rd for Red Bull, Felipe Massa 1st place by 0.043 of a second across the line. Rosberg actually did 2 stops, so I guess he must have done option prime option. My teammate Bottas also made 2 stops, surprisingly. Interesting race, very interesting. And I just wanted to go back and see on board with Vettel what happened that caused the yellow flag in the first place. So Hamilton's nowhere near Sebastian Vettel. Oh, puncture. Vettel had a puncture. You could hear the delamination on the replay, just coming into the braking zone for that right-hander. And he was leading by a few seconds there from Hamilton, so that's gutting for Vettel. And then what happens with Hamilton? Oh, Vettel completely goes into Hamilton, just turns into him almost, blocking him on the outside. We go on board with Hamilton to have a look at this again, as you can see Vettel there in the distance running wide and slowing right down. He's on the racing line. And then Hamilton looks to the outside as Vettel goes to that side as well. And then they just make contact. Hamilton hits the wall, and you can see his front wing, parts of his front wing fly off. And well, effectively that was the end of his race as well as Vettel's. And now we see Raikkonen and myself arriving on the scene. There's Raikkonen going past Vettel, and this is where he comes up to Hamilton, who's gone wide without the downforce from his wing, and he's just weaving all over the track, and Raikkonen goes into the back of him and nearly sideswipes me as well. What a crazy incident that was to completely change the face of the race.